This little young-looking palm tree named Judith carries an ancient heritage.
We're talking about the resurrection of 2,000-year-old plus ancient date seeds that come from the Judean desert and from Masada, and which are part of a scientific experiment.
Growing in a greenhouse for the last 9 years, Judith was recently transplanted in what Kibbutz Ketura calls the ancient Judean date orchard. Journalists even pitched in to help. She's the 5th such tree to be planted there after Methuselah, Adam, Jonah, and Hannah.
We are planting our 2nd female date tree, who was sprouted from an ancient seed. Actually, this one came from Qumran, was found in the caves, and much to our astonishment, she also sprouted.
This is Hannah behind me, the first female tree. She was planted in 2019. Pollinated by Methuselah, last year she had around 100 dates. This year she had 621 dates. And this is part of one of them. Dr. Sarah Salone, a medical doctor, started this project more than 15 years ago after becoming interested in natural medicine.
I wanted to see how medicinal the flora of Israel was and what it had been used for and so on. And then I realized that many of these species had actually disappeared. And we know what there was because it's mentioned in the Bible. The Bible is our guidebook of ancient species.
One that disappeared centuries ago was the Judean date. The date is mentioned in the Bible as one of the 7 species found in the ancient land of Israel.
Now, we see dates all the way along here, palm trees, and all the kibbutzim are growing plants, and look at the plantations on Ketura. Those date palms of modern-day Israel are modern, and they were imported after the founding of the state in the 1950s, but they're not the original date tree that grew here.
Years ago at Masada, archaeologists found a jar of those ancient date seeds.
In ancient times, the classical writers described in detail the dates of ancient Judea. Why? Because they were famous. They were big, they were sweet, they were very dry, that allowed them to be exported all over the Roman Empire, and they had medicinal qualities.
Salone obtained 5 of those original seeds and gave them to botanist Dr. Elaine Soloway. After devising a method to sprout them, Soloway has succeeded in sprouting seeds found in other places, such as the Qumran caves where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found.
I think the biggest problem is hydrating them, because if you hydrate them too quickly, you kill them, and you only get 1 crack in each seed. So far, we have 5 males and 2 females, 7 altogether. And I've tried lots of seeds, and most of them are deader than doornails.
15 years ago, the first tree Soloway sprouted was a male. They called him Methuselah after the oldest person in the Bible. CBN News got its first look 10 years ago when Methuselah was still in the lab. There are currently around 856,000 date palms growing in Israel. Soloway planted some 3,000 of them on Kibbutz Ketura, where each tree produces around 350 pounds of dates a year. And Soloway and Salone are hoping eventually to add the revived Judean dates to the harvest.
We are going to be testing those dates in the future to see actually what they do and whether they differ from other commercial varieties of modern dates. So for the kibbutz, it's a big venture.
Dr. Tariq Abu Hamid, director of the Arava Institute, sees this as planting seeds from the past to bear a special kind of needed fruit for the future.
If you don't look back to the history, you will not see the future. And here we're actually planting history at the Arava Institute. We hope one day that with these trees that came from 2,000 years ago will be the hope of peace in our region.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Kibbutz Ketura in the Arava Desert in southern Israel.